Hawkwind, Space Ritual. There was nothing quite like Hawkwind in the early 70s. The Stones had covered similar ground with 10,000 light years from home on Satanic Majesties. And Pink Floyd had done the whole spacey noise thing, with Saucerful of Secrets, More and the Small Furry Animals. But Hawkwind were heavier, like a Black Sabbath cover of 8 Miles High. Obviously there was Gong, but they were all Frenchy arty jazzy chateau in the country, whereas Hawkwind were urban headbangers. This album is all about the atmosphere. It is a great swooshing noise, the constituent parts not necessarily distinguishable. There is a famously long onomatopoeic word in one of the first chapters of James Joyce's Ulysses that describes the sound of the waves. That is the sound of Space Ritual. It's a sort of It is like being trapped in a Doppler effect. The sax rarely sounds like a sax, but it is the usual solo instrument. It is processed to mix in with the synthesizers, which make all the spacey sounds. The type of filtered sounds that would later turn up in techno music. Another Hawkwind trick that would be used in dance music was the habit of playing one chord for an implausibly long period, so that a change to another chord jars you like the ceasing of a sound you had not noticed until it was gone. The effect is one of relief, especially if it is the return to the root chord. Amidst the swirling whirlwind of sound, the one instrument that can clearly be heard, often adding melodic lines whilst fulfilling its rhythmic function, is Lemmy's bass. A bit like Peter Hook in Joy Division. Lemmy also sings, as does the poet and writer Robert Calvert. The science fiction author Michael Moorcock provided space poetry, which Calvert recites in an authoritarian voice. A voice annoyingly imitated at the time by my clever grammar school boy chums, recited Monty Python dead parrot fashion. A bit like this. These are the first signs of sonic attack. You will notice small objects such as ornaments oscillating. You will notice vibrations in your diaphragm. You will hear a distinct hissing in your ears. You will feel dizzy. You will feel the need to vomit. There will be bleeding from orifices. There will be an ache in the pelvic region. You may be subject to fits of hysterical shouting or even laughter. These are all signs of imminent sonic destruction. Your only protection is flight. If you are less than 10 years old, remain in the shelters and use your cocoon. Remember, you can help no one else. The other thing that Hawkwind had that appealed to schoolboys was a topless dancer called Stacia. I saw Hawkwind at a festival in the late 70s with a more pared down guitar dominated sound, and I noticed the similarity between Dave Brock's power chord riffs and punk. Hawkwind's Brainstorm sounds like a simplified version of Anarchy in the UK, with phasing and a percussion instrumental section. Most of their instrumental passages are what I recognise as the Hawkwind solo, though Hawkwind are not the only musical act to play it. You may not recognise the instrument, but the scale is always the same. It is messy and exciting, monotonous and exhilarating. The song Orgon Accumulator has a Spirit in the Sky personal Jesus riff, and seems to be about a device similar to the one in Barbarella. And Master of the Universe has a monster of a riff that has fairly recently been used in a TV advert. There is no single definitive Hawkwind album, and this is probably the best representation of their 70s space rock sound, though you would get a very good idea of the entirety of their music in that period just by listening to the single Silver Machine, which is not on the album. Space Ritual.